Welcome to Programming with PK. I'm PK and I'll be programming. Today I'm going to be building a very simple web application using Node.js, Express.js, and Vis.js. All you need to do this is a computer, a browser, and an editor, and I assume that your computer will have Node.js installed. I'll have some links out there that you can use to get that installed. I'm going to be doing all this on my Mac, but this can be easily done on any computer, whether you're using a Mac, Windows, Linux, or anything else. So let's get started. Alright, so the primary objective of this demo is to demonstrate some of the neat things that Express.js can do. Express.js is a web framework, and it can do a lot. I mean, it can do static web serving, it can do API serving, REST services, really anything where if you need to map a URL to a thing, Express can do that. But to really show this off, I'm going to introduce a few other things in order to make this a little more of a rich experience. So to do this, you're going to require a few things. Obviously, Node.js will be the biggest thing, along with its repository npm. So run out to this website, grab that, install that if you don't already. You also need an editor. Anything will work. You know, if you want to use Notepad, I use Brackets. Brackets is really easy to use, to install. Really just point it at a folder and that folder becomes a project in Brackets, which is so much nicer than a lot of the other integrated development environments that like to leave a lot of stuff in its wake. Obviously you need a browser because I'm going to build an application where you're going to actually interact with things and move things around, which would be kind of neat. And then finally you're going to need a few of these frameworks, which we'll actually install in the process of doing the development. So we're going to be using obviously Express. That's sort of the center of everything. We're also going to be using Vis.js. I am personally not associated with any of these projects. These are just free open source projects that all work very well together, and I'm going to be using them for this demo. So let's talk about the high-level design of what we're going to be doing here. Obviously, we're going to be starting with a browser. We want to bring up a web page. I want to have some things and little connections between things that we can kind of drag around and rename whatnot. So we're going to need something that the browser is going to connect to, an API that can serve data, it can serve HTML, and that's where Express is going to come into play because Express will act as the actual web server, and then Node will be the platform on which that runs. Now that API is going to hook into some sort of database, which in this demo is going to be completely fake. So what's going to happen is I'm going to actually put data into the API, and I'm going to manipulate that data through the API. Anytime the API restarts for whatever reason, you know, if I make changes to the code or whatnot, that data is going to get completely reset. Eventually, in a future tutorial, I may hook that into a real database and use this as a programming base for some other cool things, but not for now. Now, in order to serve and actually have a rich experience, you need some HTML, you need some JavaScript. So normally you would have these as sort of separate components, right? You'd have your API over here doing data-y things, and you'd have your web page itself over here on a different server, so you could scale them separately, but that's too complicated for this demo. So I'm going to actually use the API to both do the data stuff and also do the web serving. And then when we're done, we should end up with a web page that we can go and we can drag little circles around, connect the circles, disconnect the circles, and a lot of the heavy lifting here will be done by Vis.js. And what I want to demonstrate is more of the data behind the picture than the picture itself. And then eventually we'll take all of this, we'll stick it on a server. Maybe we'll stick it out on DigitalOcean or someplace else. Anywhere that Node.js is running, you can put this. Again, we might use this as a basis for future tutorials. Maybe I'll show how we can secure this, throw an SSL certificate behind it, make it, you know, basic auth, real auth, I don't know, whatever. We'll figure it out. All right, so let's get started. I'm on my Mac, and I've got Node installed. So for this to work, I should be able to do Node V. There we go. I've got Node up and running. This is probably an older version. I haven't updated this in quite a while, so there's probably somebody out there having a heart attack going, oh, it's an old version. And it doesn't really matter for this particular purpose. There is one piece of sort of infrastructure-y kind of stuff that I want to install here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an install-g. What this does is this installs components globally that everybody can use. So it's not part of your project. So we're going to install nodemon. Yeah, there we go. And the wheels of change are turning, and yeah. Let's see. Do we have anything in here I don't want people to see? No. Good. I got to do this as sudo because I actually installed this correctly, and the global stuff is in the root space. So I'm going to do this as the administrator. That is not my password. Okay, so this is taking a while, but this is a good opportunity for me to explain what nodemon is. So this is an application that monitors changes to your app. So if you're making code changes, it'll automatically restart your server or kill your process, restart or whatnot, which is really handy when you're making rapid fire changes and development changes. So that's what we're going to do. So now I've got nodemon, which is going to fail if I run it because there's nothing here. All right, now we're going to go ahead and make a new project, make directory, and we're going to call this Express Demo. And there's nothing here. We're going to start off by doing npm init, and what this will do is this will create a new node project right here in this folder. All right, Express Demo, sure, we'll go with that name. Version 1, why not? Description, demo of Express.JS and Vis.js. Okay, entry point, index.js seems like a totally legitimate thing. All right, cool. I don't have a test command. We'll do testing someplace else. Yeah, it's in Git, but I'm not going to put this out here just yet. Keywords, that's me. License, why not MIT? Sure. Everything okay. Sweet. All right, what that did was that created this package.json. So if we look at that thing, got everything sort of preset. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off by getting a very simple starting point here. So let's go ahead and fire up brackets here. I have a menagerie of things running here. All right, brackets is taking its sweet time. There's a different demo there. We're going to open a new folder. Please listen to the birds chirp. Okay, so I mentioned this earlier, and what we're going to do is we're going to click on, yeah, I'm totally revealing everything that's on my computer. Yeah, so we're probably going to cut that out. Okay, so I had a lot of stuff there that I didn't want people to see, so I cut some of that out. All I did was I went in and did an open and said, all right, I want you to go open a folder, actually. Boink. Open folder. You go point it at the Express Demo folder, and that becomes a project. Any subfolders you create in there become little subfolders in your project, which is pretty neat. Let's create a new file, index.js, and let's just console log hello world. We're going to save that, which was Command S, and now I'm going to flip back to the command line here, and if I run node index.js, hello world. All right, now what we're going to do is if we do nodemon index.js, what will happen is it will watch for changes. So I'm going to put this over here, and now if I make changes, like throw an exclamation point and hit save, magic, it reruns it. Really handy too for servers, because servers are always running. So when you get Express up and running in the background here, you're going to want something that just very quickly makes roundabout changes there. I'm going to go ahead and create a new subfolder here and call it public. So the public folder, that was totally a file. That's not what I wanted. Public. And this is where I'm going to stick HTML files. So I'm going to create an index.html file. And what we're going to do, wrong language. We're going to throw an HTML document out here. And we're going to give it a body, h1, hello world. World's dumbest project. All right, save. And what we're going to do now is we're going to get Express up and running to actually serve this file up. So we're going to go back to the command line here. And what we're going to do is we're going to serve up this HTML page. Oh, I'm totally cheating. I've got a little project off to the side here that I'm going to be looking at so I can keep this moving. So the first thing we need to do is we need to install Express. That's pretty straightforward. Come back to this full window. From your project, do npm install save Express. All right, so what's happening here? Well, we're telling the node package manager we want to install a new component. We want to save its reference in the project so that if we go and come back, we can reload that same framework. And then we're going to load Express. So let the wheels of change chunk away there, which better be cached. Okay, there we go. So you're not going to see node modules show up on the project here because I have a little plugin that hides that kind of stuff. But you can see it from the command line here. Created this new node modules, which if you go in here, you'll see it installed Express. And then if there were any other components, they would also get installed here. Because I hit save, you'll also see that in the dependencies here. If I didn't say save, it would install it in this folder and I could use it. But if I were to check it into source control, delete the project, check it back out, reinstall all the npm stuff, I wouldn't get Express because I forgot to save it here. Something else we're going to do is we're going to create a new file called gitignore. And this is going to tell my source control manager, Git, not to save certain things. So I'm going to add node modules there. One of the tenets of source control is you don't check in your dependencies, you just check in your code. So this will keep all my dependencies out. I can read down those dependencies as needed, but it keeps it out of my source control repository, which, you know, that would make it a mess if I checked everything in. Since we're here, I'm going to go ahead and initialize this and commit this. Initial check-in. Yeah, totally missed a step. I got to add everything here. Now I'm going to commit it. All right, commit often. All right, the next thing we're going to do is actually get Express up and running. So let's, no, we're not. No, what we're going to do, we're going to make our lives easier right here, right now. So we're going to add a line to our code. Totally need that off my screen. There we go. If you're wondering what made that big, I'm using Better Touch tools. I did pay for it. Start. I'm going to add a new start script, and it's going to be nodemon. I want to watch the current folder, -w. I want to look for any files that end with HTML or JavaScript. I do that because that's what the doc said, and I type in index.js. That's my starting point. I save that. Now, instead of invoking node, I'm going to invoke the node package manager, and I'm going to give it the script I want it to run, start, and what it's going to do is it's going to invoke that line. It's going to invoke nodemon, and now you can see it's watching my folder. So if I throw this over here, I go make my change, save it, and you can see it reboot. All right, now my future self is happy with my current self. So now we're going to start getting things set up. So we're going to create a new variable called Express, and we're going to invoke require Express. And what that's going to do is load up Express, stick in a variable. Now from there, I'm going to take Express and I'm going to create a new application. There we go. Now from here, I can tell this application, hey, I want you to take a thing and map it to a thing. So let's fire up a browser here. So we're going to just start off real simple and say, you know what? If I go to localhost on port 8080 and I type in stuff, what I want to do is I want to take stuff and I want to map it to say hello world. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to say app.use. We're going to say stuff. Now that's going to invoke a function. So we're going to create a function. That function will be given, well, it'll be given a number of parameters, but for this particular example, it's going to take in a request and a response. Now the request is whatever the browser gives me, and the response is whatever I want to give to the browser. So another way to think of it is, this is my input, this is my output, but don't call it input and output, just don't. All right, so my request is completely irrelevant to this particular example. What I want is in my response, I want to send back hello world, and then I want to end it. Now Express does interesting things with chaining, and what chaining means is when I invoke an Express function, it returns the function back to me so that I can re-invoke it with other methods. I probably explained that incorrectly, but the notion is that when I invoke send, extend will return Express back to me so that I can invoke end on Express. And what I think I'm really getting is the response object, but the bottom line is you can chain these things, which is nice. Save that. Make sure, oh, not done yet. Okay, so my program just started and ended because it's not actually listening. So in order to keep this critter around, I have to invoke listen. And then you have to give it a port number. A port can be anything, right? A lot of ports are already used. 80, already used if you've got Apache or some other web server running. A good one for apps is 8080. That tends to not be used. And then what happens is then a function gets invoked once your server starts. And so this is a handy place to say things like, your server was started on port 8080. Period. All right, and round it out with a semicolon, save it, and there we go. Oh, I did a bad thing. Your server. Okay, it's the little things. All right, now let's go back to our web browser, and well, I already have the URL up here, so hello world. See, there you go. And if I were to go in here and say, oops, stuff with 3 Fs, reload it, I should get a 404. Yeah, cannot get stuff. Was that in fact a 404? Let's inspect it. Indeed it was. Network, reload, stuff 404. Yay, computers work. Add that. Yeah, I use Facebook. All right, add stuff, hello world. Awesome, okay. All right, so now we're going to set up our HTML page to return. Now, Express comes with some handy stuff out of the box. In fact, you don't even have to put in a URL. If you want to just bind to the root URL, which means there, just write slash. You don't even have to put this in. You can just pass in a function. But instead of a function, what we're going to do is we're going to pass in a pre-built doohickey. Right there. And now what I'm doing here is I'm saying, hey, I want you to serve my public folder as static content. So anything underneath this, just give it up, straight up. So we're going to save that. And now remember, my server's automatically restarting in the background here. So now if I go hit this, boom, hello world. Where did that come from? Well, that's that HTML page that I have up and running over here. Add a couple exclamation points. We go out here, refresh. Yay, computers work. All right. So now we're going to beef up this page here a little bit. First of all, this is HTML5, so I need to throw a doc type on here. All right. Let's give this thing ahead. All right. And let's see here. Title. Express.js demo. We're going to need a couple of scripts here. Let's see. It's JavaScript. And the source is, I know I'm going to need Vis.js. Oh, where am I going to get that? Well, let's go ahead and close this out. And let's deal with that. All right, so I need Vis.js. So I'm going to kill my server, Control-C. npm, save, install. The order really doesn't matter there. Viz. And there we go. Now we got Viz. Now, the thing is, Viz is actually installed under node modules. Now, every once in a while in a demo, I will do things and then I will proceed to tell you not to do them. This is one of those times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my server. I need to be able to statically serve up the stuff under that folder. And if I were doing this correctly, I would actually move that over to a lib folder and then serve that up. But I'm being lazy right now. So I'm just going to create another line in this static and I'm going to say node modules. Don't do this in real life. This is just a demo just to get you up and running. But if you were to make a production application, you'd want to do a legitimate build and point this to that legitimate build. But now, if I go back to my HTML, I should be able to just say from there, let me go back here. The folder is Viz. There's a distribution folder there. And let's see here, we got Vis.js and we got Vis.css. These are the two files I need to pull in. So I'm going to, because I mapped node modules to the root, then I need viz dist viz.js. And that gets me my JavaScript. And then we're going to link href viz dist viz.css. What is it? It's a style sheet. You were going to do that for me, right? Yeah, you're awesome. Type text CSS. And these are cool because I can just close them out. All right, now let's give this thing a little bit of a style. Mainly because I know I'm going to have a big block of graph on there and I want to get that positioned right. So we're just going to have, I know I'm going to have an ID graph, a div someplace on the page, and I'm going to give it a width of 800 pixels. I'm probably going to make that variable, but yeah. It's a demo, 600 pixels. And we'll give it a border because I want to see where it's at. Solid, let's say light gray. And then margin, I'm going to give it some margin, 0 auto, so I'm going to just center that on the page because I'm anal retentive like that. Okay, now instead of this, we're going to put a div ID graph. So now what I should have is just a big empty block in the screen. Oh, right, I totally shut my server down. npm start. Okay, there we go. Reload it. Yay, big block. I need to make this bigger. Be bigger. And there you can see my big empty block. Now let's put some data on this, right? Let's get something showing. So first I have to create a container. I currently don't have jQuery running here. I'll probably pull it in later, but for now I'm going to go old school and just say get element by ID graph. Okay, that should totally be in colors. Oh, you know what? I forgot a thing. Script type equals text JavaScript. Application. Yeah, it's an application, but I think it's supposed to be text. Oh, fine. Let me type it all out. Okay. Now let me move this line back in here. And hey, look, it's in color. Good indication. All right. And now I need to take that container and turn it into a network. This is a Vis.js thing, so new Viz network. I'm going to give it the container. I need to give it some data. All right, so I got to give it some data. Yeah, you stay on there. Okay, so let's give it some data. That's going to be an object. That's going to have nodes, which will be an array. It's going to have edges. Edges are links between nodes if you're ever doing graph database theory stuff. And I'm going to have options, which means down here, I need to pass in data to options. So I got my container, I got my data, I got my data options, I have a placeholder for that. And here's the part where you could watch me type these all in, or I could just mystically, magically copy and paste them from the text editor I have on the other screen. There we go. So what did I just do? Well, I just put a bunch of nodes, little bubbles on the screen. Those nodes have IDs and they have labels. The IDs are more behind the scenes. Really, they could be anything, but I'm going to keep it simple. And then the label would be whatever you want to see. Now, what Vis.js will do is it will take that and draw it. So if I go back to the browser and reload it, absolutely nothing happens. That's awesome. Why? Options is not defined. Really? Oh, okay. Because it's not defined. There we go. Let's define it. And make my... All right. Reload it. Yay! I did a thing and I totally smacked. Okay. Yay! I did a thing. Okay. Now I want to hook these things up. And again, through the mystical, magical powers of copy and paste, I'm going to paste in a fistful of links. So linking blueberry to kiwi and blueberry to strawberry and strawberry to apple and yada, 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 yada. Okay, what does that do? Well, if I reload that, yay, I got links between things. So let's say I wanted to hook, instead of strawberry to blueberry, I wanted to hook strawberry to kiwi. Well, I could just go into the data and change, what was that? Strawberry to blueberry, strawberry to blueberry. I could just say kiwi to strawberry. I can save that, reload it, and yep, there we go. All right, but we're not going to do that. Okay.